Welcome to GameCube Gallery, the series where we are taking a look at the GameCube library, one game at a time. In the previous episode of GameCube Gallery, we took a look at Hello Kitty Roller Rescue. Link to that video in the description down below in case you missed it. In today's episode of GameCube Gallery, we're taking a look at a game that I've been very excited to cover, and that game is The Simpsons Hit and Run. So buckle up, folks. Let's take it for a ride.
What the hell was that?
What's up, everybody? Somewhere hidden in this video is my Corgi Link, and if you can find him, I want you to leave a comment down below with the timestamp and his exact location. Good luck. On to the video. Before we get into the video, starting today, in today's episode of GameCube Gallery, and in future episodes of GameCube Gallery, I'm going to feature another YouTube channel to promo for you guys to check out. And in today's episode, we're going to feature Viracy, and he is going to tell you guys what his YouTube channel is all about in a short promo video that he put together. And I'll leave a link to Viracy's YouTube channel in the description down below. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump to Viracy's short promo. The Simpsons, one of the most legendary shows to ever grace our television sets. The Simpsons is a sitcom and was created by Matt Groening for Fox and first aired on December 17th, 1989, and is still running to this day with over 700 episodes across 32 seasons and one feature-length film, and it was renewed for seasons 33 and 34 as well as a sequel to the movie which was released in 2007. The Simpsons is the longest running animated TV show in America as well as the longest running sitcom in America. It is essentially a satire and a parody on what it is like to live in America, and it follows the dysfunctional Simpsons family and their various antics and adventures across the town of Springfield, and it is full of interesting characters. The Simpsons has mass popularity, has won a multitude of awards over the years, spawned the beginning of modern American adult animated shows, and it ultimately led to other forms of media for The Simpsons such as comic books, toys, and of course a ton of video games. There have been, by my count, around 27 Simpsons video games released over the last 30 years across pretty much all consoles. Surprisingly, there hasn't been a Simpsons game since 2013. While there are several Simpsons games that are really bad, there are also several that are really good, and one Simpsons game that many people consider to be one of the best is Simpsons Hit and Run. Simpsons Hit and Run is basically what you get when Grand Theft Auto and The Simpsons have a baby, and it was released on September 16, 2003 on the GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2, later releasing on the PC in November 2003. Simpsons Hit and Run was developed by Radical Entertainment and published by Vivendi Universal Games. Radical Entertainment is a Canadian game development company that ran from 1991 to about 2014 as they were acquired by Activision in 2008, and they no longer seem to be active as of 2014, although that's pretty unclear. Some of the notable games developed by Radical Entertainment were Dark Summit, Simpsons Road Rage, Tetris Worlds, The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, Crash Tag Team Racing, Scarface, and Prototype 1 and 2. Vivendi Games was a publisher out of Los Angeles, California, and they published games from 1996 until about 2008 when they were merged with Activision. Some of the notable games they published were Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex, The Thing, Spyro, Enter the Dragonfly, 50 Cent Bulletproof, and so much more. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into The Simpsons Hit and Run, starting with the story. The story in Simpsons Hit and Run is fairly straightforward. It isn't a story that's going to captivate you or really pull you in, but it serves as a good vehicle to propel the game forward. Essentially, there are all sorts of strange things happening around Springfield that the citizens are noticing and becoming suspicious of. There are strange black vans driving all over the place, robot wasps with video cameras attached to them, and a strange new and improved version of Buzz Cola that is making people crazy. So the Simpsons family, along with Apu, set out to try to uncover this conspiracy and find out who is behind all the strange events. The story is told throughout 7 levels, each with 7 story missions that propel the story forward bit by bit. Again, this isn't a story that's going to blow you away, but it's good enough and silly and over the top enough to feel like a true Simpsons story, and it is sprinkled with plenty of comedy and ridiculousness throughout. Not to spoil the story or anything, but look, this is an old game, so I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. Throughout the story, you will have the opportunity to talk to and interact with a large number of characters from The Simpsons, such as Flanders, Moe, Mr. Burns, and so many more, and you will take control of Homer, Bart, Lisa, Marge, and Apu throughout the course of the 7 levels, which we will talk more about later. So all in all, the story's not too bad, but nothing special, but at least it does feel like a Simpsons episode and serves to progress the gameplay. The graphics and art style in Simpsons Hit and Run still hold up to this day, and it looks great through an HD upscaler and with progressive scan turned on, which it does support. While they probably should have gone with a cel-shaded art style to give it even more of a cartoony look, the art style they did choose for the graphics works well, and it still has a nice cartoon look and aesthetic that really matches the show. Character models all look fantastic and are true to the show, and the character models and vehicles have some pretty decent animations, but nothing too elaborate. The environments around Springfield look fantastic with plenty of details scattered around, many of which are Easter eggs from the show, and you will see many iconic locations from the show that you can even go inside of sometimes, and they all look great. This is a very bright, colorful, and vibrant game which really matches the aesthetics of the show. Now I will say some of the textures are pretty flat and basic, but it really works in a game like this. We don't need super detailed textures in a Simpsons game. The vehicle models look really nice, and there are a ton of different vehicles. And one nice graphical detail is as your vehicle takes damage, you can physically see the damage appear on your vehicle as you drive it, and this was a nice touch. The game features 9 different pre-rendered cutscenes that you can unlock as you play through the story. As you would expect from cutscenes, the graphics are even better than the in-game graphics with awesome animations and even more detail, and the cutscenes are all insane and hilarious. The cutscenes are really well done. I enjoyed them all quite a bit. The overall presentation of Simpsons Hit and Run is so good, and you can tell the developers put a lot of love into the game. Everything from the main menu to the pause menu is full of Simpsons charm, and they took great care to make sure the presentation pops. Hell, even the tutorial bits are entertaining because they throw plenty of comedy and fourth wall breaking into it. Simpsons Hit and Run also performs very well, and from what I can tell, it runs at a rock solid 30 frames per second, which for a game like this, that's perfectly fine. I also did not encounter a single glitch throughout my entire playthrough, which is actually pretty damn impressive. The music in Simpsons Hit and Run is quite good as well, and you will of course hear that iconic Simpsons theme song in the main menu, and if you grew up with The Simpsons, you can't help but get hit with a wave of nostalgia when you listen to that. Now the interesting thing is that as you're exploring Springfield on foot, in most cases there isn't any music playing outside of a few very short melodies that play here and there, but then you will wander into certain spots in the town and music will play that matches the area you are in. When you enter your vehicle to start driving around, a track starts playing and it is different in each level, and as you exit your vehicle, the music immediately goes into a transition melody, which is a nice touch. Now when you start a mission, that's when you are going to hear some of the best music in the game. You will hear some awesome instrumental tracks across a wide variety of genres, and most of them sound great. Here, have a listen.
Let's just do this thing.
I also really enjoyed the sound design in Simpsons Hit and Run. All throughout Springfield, you will hear ambient background noises like birds chirping, cars driving around, and much more, all adding to the atmosphere of the game. As you play as Homer, Bart, Marge, Lisa, and Apu, they will drop one-liners at various times, mainly while driving. And normally I find this annoying in a game because you hear the same lines over and over, but in the Simpsons Hit and Run it wasn't that bad because each character had a ton of one-liners, so with such a huge variety they don't get as repetitive. There is a ton of voice acting all throughout the game, both during gameplay and in cutscenes as well, and the best part about it is that the actual voice cast from The Simpsons reprised their roles for the game, and that's rare for a game of this nature. So all the voice acting is absolutely top notch, and it really makes the game feel like The Simpsons that much more. So far everything has been good and I've had nothing but positive things to say about Simpsons Hit and Run, but now we're getting into the meat and potatoes that is the gameplay, and while I still have mostly positive things to say, this is where some of my issues with the game will start to appear. As I stated earlier, this is basically a really simplistic Grand Theft Auto with a Simpsons theme, and these two things work really well together. The Simpsons Hit and Run takes place over the course of 7 levels, and in each level you will have to complete 7 story missions in order to progress to the next level. In each level you will take control of a different Simpsons character designated to that level, and the characters are Homer, Bart, Marge, Lisa, and Apu. You take control of Homer and Bart for 2 levels each, and everyone else just gets 1. Now unfortunately there's no gameplay differences between the 5 playable characters, which feels like a missed opportunity to me. I feel like at the very least each character should have had their own special abilities, but this is just a nitpick. Each level takes place in one of 3 different sections of Springfield, being Evergreen Terrace, Downtown Springfield, and Springfield Squidport. Evergreen Terrace contains the suburban areas and locations such as the nuclear power plant and Springfield Elementary School, and you will also be able to visit the graveyard and much more. Downtown Springfield contains the busier city areas and locations such as Moe's Tavern, Springfield Town Hall, the train yard, and more. Springfield Squidport contains the waterside areas and long highways and locations such as Springfield Dam and Mr. Burns Casino, and of course much more. Each section of Springfield feels distinct with lots of awesome landmarks to visit and a ton of secrets and Easter eggs to find. And of course some of the locations you're going to visit multiple times, but each time they are slightly different. The one thing I do wish is that all 3 sections of Springfield could have been linked together into one large map to explore, kind of like in GTA. Now I suspect that they made this decision due to budget and time constraints, or maybe hardware limitations, but I would lean more towards budget and time constraints. The gameplay in Simpsons Hit and Run is split into 2 different types, being on foot and in a vehicle, with the majority of the gameplay being in a vehicle. While on foot, there isn't really a whole lot you can do. You can run, jump, double jump, jump kick, and do a slam attack, which is pretty much useless, and that's pretty much it outside of interacting with objects. On foot, you can explore the locations a little bit easier to search for the game's many collectibles. The collectibles include coins, which are used to buy costumes and new vehicles in each level. There are also 7 collector cards to find in each level, each card containing a reference to a Simpsons episode. There are 5 different vehicles to unlock in each level, 20 wasp cameras to find and destroy, and a number of funny gags to find and interact with in each level. There's also 1 bonus mission and 3 street race missions in each level to add a little bit of variety to the gameplay. All of these things contribute to 100% completion of the game, and there are bonus unlockables for finding each collector card in each level. As you run around on foot and explore, you can kick NPCs around, which is kind of funny to watch, and you can also interact with gags when you find them for various funny effects, and of course you can steal any NPC vehicle. There's also 1 hidden special vehicle in each level which are fun to drive, but these do not count towards completion. But to be honest, there's not a lot to do on foot outside of exploring and finding collectibles, and this all starts to get fairly boring and repetitive, especially after you've already seen each section of Springfield. Now the majority of the gameplay and pretty much every single mission takes place behind the wheel of one of many vehicles to choose from. Each vehicle has a 5-star rating system and 4 different stats, being speed, acceleration, toughness, and handling. So you want to be sure to pick the right vehicle for each situation. As you drive around, if you run over pedestrians and destroy property, your hit and run meter will start to fill up, and as it fills up to the max, the police will chase after you, and if they catch you, they will fine you 50 coins. And yes, this can happen in the middle of a mission and it will completely pick you up. The car driving physics actually feel and play pretty good. You have your e-brake you can use to drift around corners or even do a 180, and the driving is pretty fun for the most part, although it does get very annoying when other vehicles get in your way. Now I'll tell you this much, the driving in the Simpsons Hit and Run is way better than this piece of shit right here. You can't die or take damage in Simpsons Hit and Run, so the worst penalty you will receive is to lose coins, and this takes some of the tension out of the game. The missions contain a variety of tasks to complete, such as drive to a certain point within a time limit, destroy another vehicle, win a race, collect objects scattered around, ram other vehicles to make them drop objects and collect them, follow a vehicle without losing them, and more. The problem is that all of these things feel very similar to each other, and there isn't enough variety in the gameplay, so it starts to honestly get boring and repetitive after a while, because I felt like I was just doing the same thing over and over with little variation. Another issue I have with the Simpsons Hit and Run is that it has a lot of inconsistent difficulty spikes. There are some missions at odd times that are so insanely difficult that if you make a single mistake, you will fail the mission. Thankfully, if you fail a mission 6 times, the game gives you the option of skipping it, except for the final mission, and the final mission is arguably the hardest mission in the game by a long shot. It took me like 15 tries to beat it. So instead of the difficulty gradually ramping up throughout the game, it goes up and down like a roller coaster, and I'm not really a fan of that. So I'll be honest, after I got to level 4, Simpsons Hit and Run started to feel very repetitive and the boredom really started to kick in. The only thing that really kept me going was the funny dialogue and situations you run into in each mission, and the story and characters, as well as the exploration. But those complaints aside, Simpsons Hit and Run from a gameplay standpoint is still pretty damn fun, at least for the first half of the game before it just gets too repetitive. If you can overlook the repetitive gameplay, there's actually a lot of content here, as the main story takes around 10 hours to complete, and if you want to 100% the game, you're looking at around 23 hours. The fastest speed run for the console version is 1 hour and 29 minutes, which I can't even comprehend. If you want to see that, there will be a link to it in the sources down below. So all in all, the Simpsons Hit and Run is a very solid game and easily one of the best Simpsons games ever made. The story, graphics, music, sound design, presentation, and performance are all great. The gameplay is fun, but it also becomes entirely too repetitive and ultimately boring, and is plagued by inconsistent difficulty spikes. The entire game is a fantastic love letter to The Simpsons, and fans of the show will fall in love with the world that has been faithfully recreated here. Altogether, The Simpsons Hit and Run is a great game with a few issues, and I feel it is worth playing at least once, whether you're a fan of Simpsons, Grand Theft Auto style games, or both. You are in for a mostly good time. But I will say this, and this is not in any way a jab at the game, because I promise you I do like The Simpsons Hit and Run, and I do think it's a good game. But with all that being said, I will probably never play through it again. For me, this is a one and done kind of game, and not a game that is replayable multiple times. Simpsons Hit and Run was a hit, and at the time of this recording, it has a Metacritic critic score of 79 out of 100 with 28 critic reviews, and a user score of 8.8 out of 10 with 65 user ratings, making it a pretty highly rated game. The GameCube version of Simpsons Hit and Run sold around 770,000 units in North America, the Xbox version sold around 700,000 units in North America, and the PlayStation 2 version sold around 1,730,000 units in North America. So between all 3 console versions, it sold over 3 million units in North America, making it a huge success. Hit and Run won a few awards, the most notable of which was the Favorite Video Game Award at the 2004 Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. And to this day, there are a ton of hardcore Simpsons Hit and Run fans that really want a sequel. Not long ago, there was a poll ran by the gaming publication game.co.uk where they listed a bunch of popular games and asked Twitter users which game they want to see remastered the most, and the Simpsons Hit and Run actually won the poll. Also, someone actually attempted to remake a portion of Simpsons Hit and Run in the PS4 game where you can make games called Dreams, and they actually did a really good job, as you can see here. There's even a petition going on right now at the time of this recording to release a sequel to The Simpsons Hit and Run, and it has 26,379 signatures and counting right now. Not too long ago, Matt Selman, who is one of the main writers for the Simpsons TV show, stated that he would love to see a remastered version of the game, but that it would be very complicated to do from a corporate standpoint. So it sounds like a possible remaster or remake is not off the table, but me personally, I would love to see a complete remake from the ground up that addresses all of the issues I had with the game. That would be awesome. There were a few interesting things that were cut from the game, and some gamers have made some interesting discoveries by exploring beyond the boundaries, but maybe we'll save that for another video in the future. In the meantime, you can read about these things in the sources down below. Lastly, let's discuss the current market for the GameCube version of the Simpsons Hit and Run. At the time of this recording on pricecharting.com, the GameCube version loose is around $39, complete it is around $55, and new it is around $112. At the time of this recording, I am seeing current eBay listings complete from $55 to $75, and I am seeing recent sold listings complete from $50 to $60. With the popularity of GameCube collecting skyrocketing combined with the popularity of this game, the price is likely to keep going up as demand goes up and copies in the wild go down. So if you're a collector, I would buy it sooner rather than later. I will tell you from my experience, I pretty much never see the GameCube version in the wild, and I hunt for games a lot, so it has become quite rare. Well, there you have it, folks. GameCube Gallery on The Simpsons Hit and Run. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure and hit that like button. Let me know in the comments down below if you've played Simpsons Hit and Run and what you think about it. Also, let me know in the comments down below if you have any recommendations for GameCube games that I can cover in a future episode of GameCube Gallery. Now, we already have the game for the next episode picked out, and you're not going to want to miss it because it's going to be a little embarrassing for me, but it should be a lot of fun. So tune in for that next month. As always, folks, stay safe out there, keep playing games and having a good time, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Later.